Hey guys, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Tuesday, September 17th. It is 2 o'clock right now. Our scheduled mentoring session is for 2 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. So if you guys have any specific questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, once I'm done setting this up, we'll take a look at the questions from today. And I don't know why they do this with YouTube. They always like update the settings and it's like all over the place. So it's always hard for me to set up a YouTube now. I'll get used to it or they'll fix it. Typically, that's what happens. All right, we got the setup right here. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. All right, link is sent out. All right. Let me send this email out as well. All right, perfect. All right, so good afternoon, everybody. Today is Tuesday, September 17th. It is 2:02 right now. Our scheduled mentoring sessions for 2 o'clock. Looks like people are still making their way in. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, we will just wait for people to join in and we'll cover the questions that we planned on covering today. We don't really have much on the agenda for today. I mean, obviously, it's just a review of the trades from today. The stuff that we're currently doing, I'll try to brainstorm a little bit with what was discussed earlier during the live session. It's got a couple ideas. One thing that I'm kind of thinking about as well is taking the breakout earlier, like pre-market, so that we can catch the breakout when the market actually opens. Because what I've noticed sometimes is that the entries will typically well, the breakout usually kind of throws the move off. I think a good time for a pre-market entry would be somewhere around like 6 o'clock. So I'm gonna go back to like Thursday. I'm just gonna take a look to see if there would be a different outcome if we would have entered the entry a bit earlier. So let's see on Thursday. This was on Thursday, September 12th. Hey Jamie, how's it going? So Thursday, September 12th, we took a buy. So we took the entry over here at 6:30, which was immediately on open. Obviously, it hit a full TP, so that was fine. But let's see if we took it around 6 o'clock. Okay, so looking at this here, maybe it might not be beneficial. I was just thinking about like how these spikes happen because, like, for example, today's entry took forever for it to actually hit, right? So I don't think it's gonna work in all types of markets. But I mean, I guess what we have right now currently works. Let me check Wednesday. I just want to see if the outcome is different. It's just something that I kind of thought of after the live session today, just because I mean, the volatility should be high on those days, but it's not always going to be high like that. So on September 11th, we took a sell entry. we took the entry over here at 6 o'clock. I mean, it basically would have been the same thing. So maybe it's not really much of a difference, which is something I kind of thought maybe would have been useful. But I mean, realistically, it looks like it's not really going to make a difference because the time between 6 and 6:30 doesn't really change very much. It just consolidated right here from 6 to 6:30. I guess could have got a better entry, but didn't really make a difference because it still would have been 100 points. So I'm just going to scratch that idea for now. If anything else comes up, I'll think about it and I'll probably test it out for the most part. I think we'll leave the breakout as is because it's actually not bad how we're applying it currently. So, all right, guys, looks like decent amount of you guys are here so far. So again, if there's any questions that you guys have, whether you want me to cover any of the strategies, confluences, any assets, any time frames, doesn't really matter. Whatever trading questions you guys have, whether it's about Apex, the strategies, trading view, NinjaTrader, anything really, feel free to hop into the chat. You know, this session is for you guys so we can cover stuff that you guys need help with. But if not, then I guess we'll just pretty much cover what we've been taking lately. The one thing that I did want to discuss was the current market conditions. So if you look at the market from today, it wasn't really a good market. So it was moving a bit directional, like slightly directional right here on open. But it was mainly a manipulated move. So if you look over here, market's close, so you're not going to see any movement right now. But if you just look at this from a bird's eye view, so let me just mark up 6:30 so you can see where market opened from. Basically from 6:30, and I'll go to the clean chart here. Actually, this will probably be a lot better for us to look at. So from 6:30, I'll go on a higher time frame so that you can see all the candles for today. I just wanted to show you guys an example of like a market where you want to be conservative. So you guys can see here, there wasn't really much of direction. I mean, overall direction was bearish, but taking trades within the little market movements here. So if you look over here, and I'll just draw squares to show you. I'll draw boxes around areas here. So you can see that this is all like pretty much a manipulated move for the most part. We kind of got caught in this manipulated move for the breakout. Thankfully, I moved my stop loss and profit down here, which you guys can see between 6:30 and 8, or even 6:30 and 7. We could have taken some of the momentum or some of the market flow V2s right here, but because of this big choppiness, this is why I was like very conservative about the entries I wanted to take. On top of that, we had the sessions and opening price right down the middle, so we can't really take entries down here, even though 2 of them did come up. But you know, if you just kind of block things up. So if you guys are always curious to like understand how market structure looks or like looking back at the previous day, you can see here that there was a lot of fake out areas, right? So we had price consolidate, breakout, back up, go back into some heavy consolidation here from basically 7 o'clock until 8. And then pretty much the same thing. So there's a fake out right here, some more consolidation, a bearish push here. This was based off a lot of the news that came out after the live session. So after the live session was done, I was listening to Bloomberg Live, and they basically were just talking about the interest rate cuts and stuff like that. So, and then you can see over here, this going into a big range. So today's a good example of like when to stay out of the market. As you guys know, I didn't take any scalps today. I just took the breakout, which I made decent profit on. I didn't make a lot of profit because I did move my stop loss in profit halfway. So this is the entry that we took from today. I made 741. Typically it would be, you know, a full move, but for this, I moved my stop loss in profit. Thankfully I did because it would have gotten stopped out if I did it. But again, this is like another example of like why or when and where you should be moving your stop loss in profit. Typically for the breakout, I wouldn't move it in profit, but let me clean this up real quick, or I'll just go to this chart. So here is the breakout chart. And if you mark price from open, so market opened right here at 6:30, I'll color that blue. I'll pretty much turn everything else off here. So if you look between 6:30 and 8 o'clock, price didn't really move very much. So market open right here at the blue line. This is 6:30 market open, and this is 8 o'clock. The end of our live session time. If you were to measure price between here, so price barely moved 121 points up and even less to the bottom, 77 points to the bottom. So this shows you that there wasn't very much volatility. It looked like there was a lot of volatility because price was moving back and forth, but realistically, this isn't a lot of volatility. If you compare this to something like the market yesterday or the day before that, like we can go back to yesterday's market between. Actually, yesterday wasn't very volatile either, but it was decent. It was better than today. So over here, you can see the market did look volatile here. And then you measure it from like 6:30 to 8 o'clock. So you guys can see the volatility here was way more volatile than yesterday, right? Or than today. So yesterday moved about 200 points from 6:30 to 8. And then today it barely moved 121 points. So this is an example of a market that looks volatile, but it's really not that volatile. And it's better to stay out than to take any trades or to take anything that would be considered risky. So that's just a quick review of today's market. What I expect to happen for the next couple of days, as you guys know, tomorrow is going to be the interest rate news. FOMC minutes are going to come out. So there's really a big bet going on. If you guys haven't been following the news, the market is basically betting on the interest rates to be cut either 25 basis points or 50 basis points. Initially, 25 was like the main thing. But now that people have kind of analyzed the market, a lot of them are betting on it to be more than 25 points and actually 50 points. Either way, it's going to be good for the market. So what I would probably see tomorrow is probably a continuous drop down lower. And then once 11 o'clock hits, when the news comes out, it's going to have I don't think it's going to be a big, it's going to be a spike up, but I don't think it's going to be a clean spike. So I think what's going to happen at 11 o'clock is you're going to get some crazy volatility, but then eventually price is going to climb up further. I don't recommend trading FOMC more because I think it's going to be very choppy. I think the long-term move is going to be bullish. So if you are taking some trades tomorrow, it is recommended to take something with a bigger stop loss, because I'm not sure how the market will move during the actual New York session, but once you get closer to the FOMC minutes, it's going to be pretty all over the place. So it'd be better to just sit out the market and watch it play through. So. All right, let's review the trades from today. If you guys have any specific questions, again, guys, just go ahead and put your questions in the chat. If you guys want me to cover anything on TradingView, NinjaTrader, Apex, my strategies, your strategies, anything really, pop into the chat. The only things that I really have to cover today are going to be the entries from today. I'll look at entries that we took and the entries that we identified, and then on top of that, we'll kind of just brainstorm a little bit, see if I see anything here that we can possibly use to our advantage. So let's start off with the breakout. Breakout this morning was, here, I'll just replay back to 6:30. We'll just replay the market like it was this morning. So here's where market opened. What I typically do here is I like to break up the London session with the New York session and the Asia session. So New York session started over here at 5:30. London session started over here at midnight, my time. And Asia session started over here at 1600. So looking at this right here, the way that I identify the breakout is first, I look at the news from the previous day. So what I do is I look at Bloomberg, or I look at, actually, I really look at Koifin. I don't really look at Bloomberg like that. I look at Bloomberg for daily news, but I use Koifin for my analysis stuff. So if you guys want to check out Koifin, you guys can. It's a paid application website. You can open like trial accounts. I'm not logged into my trial account right now because I have like multiple. But basically what I'll do is I'll go to market news. I'll look at global markets. I'll look at American markets, and I'll kind of see what happens over here. So depending on like what the news is here, you have to analyze the news events. It doesn't necessarily tell you if it's a good bullish news or negative news, bullish or bearish, you have to kind of just read the news article and identify whether it's good for the market or whether it's bad for the market. So this is going to be a bit of a it's going to be a bit of an obstacle for a lot of people because not everyone knows how to read the news and translate it into positive or negative news. So just a run through, this is basically what I do. So I start off by looking at the news from the previous day. So for example, today was the 17th, right? So I looked at all the news from the 16th over here, pretty much went through each one. And I kind of figured, okay, this is negative, this is positive, this is positive, this is negative, this is negative, this is negative, etc. Once I have enough negative news or enough positive news, I can formulate a bias for the day. So once I have that, I'm like, okay, that's the case, then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look at the breakout for the day. My bias for the day was bearish because of the news. So once I've confirmed that bias, what I did next was I looked at the technicals for the day, right? So what I do here is then I turn on the indicators. I'll turn on the pivots, I'll turn on the high-low indicator, I'll turn on the momentum indicator, and I'll turn on the sessions indicator. So I'll turn on pretty much everything here because this gives us a better idea as to what happened during these sessions. The London session is more important than the Asia because the Asia is typically going to be ranging, but you can see over here that market went sideways. There's a couple different factors here that you can look at. So for one, you can look at the sessions. You see how the sessions have these two lines right here, the green line and the purple line down here. Having these two lines right here pretty much signify that price was ranging during Asia session, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. So Asia range. Market structure. So looking at this right here, this here is the Asia range market structure. That's one right there. And then looking at this over here, this is London session, right? So London session was directional. I mean, again, obviously you can tell it's directional because you can see prices above the pivots. Pivots are angling up. Prices pushing to the upside. If you want to turn on the trend meter, also bullish. You can see it's breaking structure over here with regard to the session. So price pushed up higher, broke past the Asia high, and climbed up higher. So for this here, this was London, was the directional. Bullish. So with this said right here, this is where I formulated my analysis for the breakout this morning. So like for the breakout, like I said, this over here pretty much gave me a hint that, okay, well, for one, I had the news analysis. So my news analysis here indicated that I was going to look for a bearish move anyways. And then using this here, I had an Asia market structure, which was ranging, London market structure, which is directional bullish. From what I formulated here is that price is overextended, right? Because price went sideways, pushed up super heavily right here. If you measure from like basically this low point, basically from the Asia low up to where price was currently at, it's basically 100-point push to the upside. Or if you want to go from the very high, 200 points. So from here, this is where I formulated that, okay, I'm going to take, I already knew I was going to take a sell based off the fundamentals. Then I took my analysis here off the technicals, and I was like, okay, price is overextended. And that's why I decided to take the sell here for the breakout. Took the sell for the breakout right here. I took it for 100 points. As you guys know, we took this during the live session. If you guys want to review the live session is on the YouTube channel. We did all this stuff live. So let me just show you real quick. So for the new people here, because I know there's some new people here, you can just pull up the YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/Kodi Kai Trades. If you guys want to review that live session from today, just go to live. Or if you look over here, it might just show up like at the very front. If you go over here to live, you'll see the session from today, which is right here. You can click on that, rewatch the session. We had our analysis done live. I didn't break it down like this as detailed because we don't really have that much time before market open, but this is pretty much why I took the sell. And then price dropped down a little bit, shot back up, it was pretty much just consolidating for a long time. And this is where I started to realize, okay, I might have to move my stop loss and profit because I'm not really seeing much direction here. So price came down quite a bit right there. And then when price dropped to, I think, the 100 mark, that's where I moved my stop loss and profit. So price came down a little further. And then when it came down to this point right here, this is where I moved my stop loss and profit. So at this point, I moved my stop and profit to the 100. Initially, I moved it here. So initially, I moved it above this candle. And then what happened next was I moved it below here to the 100 mark. So once I had that right there, this is where I moved my stop loss and profit. It swung up right after on the next candle, and that's where it stopped me out. So that's what we took during the live. Usually I hold on to it for the full move, but because we had this consolidation right here, this is how I had an idea that, okay, I should probably move my stop loss and profit because usually it hits right away. Like we don't hold on to this position for like more than 30 minutes. It usually hits like within the first couple minutes. So we were holding on to this for about 30 minutes at this point, almost past 30 minutes, and I pulled out right there. That's where I locked in 741. Usually we'll hold it to the full move. So these are the breakouts from last week. Today was the 17th. These are the breakouts from, this is from Friday. Held it for the full move, locked in 1,500 on that one. The breakout on this one over here, same thing. It usually hits within the first like 2 candles. So within the first 10 minutes or so, it usually hits. This over here didn't hit for the first 30 minutes. And then I just made the decision to move my stop loss and profit. Glad I did, because if not, this thing would have fully reversed on us. So there goes the analysis of today's breakout. Again, usually I don't move it and I don't move the stop loss and profit, but because this thing ran for so long and was going sideways, I thought it was best to move the stop loss and profit. And I think everyone else did the same thing. So that is how the breakout worked out here. Let's see. N2 Trades is asking, hi, have you gotten payouts with your strategy? Not with this one specifically. So this one, I'm testing this one out. We've been doing this one for about 3 weeks. I'm only doing this on my Top Step account. The other strategy, which I'll show you next, is what I've been getting paid out with. So this is what we do. We take this once a day. This is just a breakout on open. It's a once a day strategy. I do my analysis based off like what I just explained here. This is something we've been taking breakouts over the years, but this is something a little bit different because this is more of a fundamentals approach versus technicals. The technicals are secondary, fundamentals are first, and then retail sentiment is third. So this one's slightly different, but even so, if you were to take a breakout on open, it's going to go either direction. It's going to go up or down. So I mean, if you really just want to take a guess, you can take a guess. I just try to make it a more educated guess than taking some random entry. So that's how the analysis worked for this. Again, this one is not the one that I've been getting paid out on. The one that I've been getting paid out on is the regular scalps, which I will show next. And the second part of your question is, if so, can you tell us how much it is each month? So last month, this September, August was a little less. So August, I think for each payout period, I got 2 payouts. I think it was like, first one was 5,000, second one was 4,000. I know it's not that much, but those are some new accounts. And August is usually a slow month for me. So all of my trades have been documented. If you look at the spreadsheet, the stats for August weren't like super great. So we were overall profit, like slightly in profit, 30 points. So it wasn't like super great. The month before that was a lot better. So all the trades here are literally documented for market flow. So this one over here in July, I had a little more. I think it was like 5,000 to 8,000, I think, per payout period. So total like under 20, something like that. It was like 16 or something like that. I don't have the exact number, but it was below 20. It wasn't very much for July and for August, because typically the summer months are a little more break even for me. So this year I made 30 points overall, minus commissions and fees. Obviously, it's not going to be as much as it normally would be. July over here was pretty decent, made 165, and then in points. And then June was about the same, or actually, sorry, it was 165 for July, 165 for June, and then for May, it was actually our first red month. So first red month over here for May. So I didn't get any payouts for May. April was a little bit higher. Win rate was higher. We were doing different scalps during this time. It was more of a 10-30 split. We moved over to the 15-15 split over here in the summer, and I'm moving back to the 10-30 split because the volatility is getting higher as we move closer to the fall season. So everything here is documented. All the trades that we take throughout the year. So on average, I would say during the summer markets, not very much, but on average during the earlier months, a lot higher. Like winter, early, so like late winter, early spring. Obviously, you guys can see over here we took way more trades, and then we had very little losses. Win-loss ratio was pretty high, and then summer obviously kind of slowed down a little bit. Market volatility was low, and then hopefully for this month it's going to be back up again. So for this month over here, this is the month of September. So sorry, guys, 1 second. All right, so there goes that right there. I'll go over the strategy to show you what we do for these. These are different. These aren't part of the breakouts. Well, some of the breakouts have been documented here because we've been doing this for the past 3 weeks, but for the most part, they're market flow entries, which is the main entry that we take for the live session scalps. So other than that, let's see. Okay, so we're done with the breakout right here, and I'll go over to the main chart over here to show you the market flow entries. I didn't take any market flow entries today because of, and I'll show you again. We'll go back to 6:30. Let's go to 8 o'clock and I'll show you here. Because there was red flags around that area. So we had news over here at 5:30. We had opening price. Right here, where's that? Opening price, which is right here, color that blue. And the entries that came up, so for this strategy, I typically only apply till 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, which is right here. There's only 2 entries that came up between 6:30 and 8, which were like right in between. And I'll replay it, but you can see it from right here. So basically, I waited for the market here to stabilize a little bit. I didn't take anything over here because you guys can see the choppiness. Obviously, price kept going back and forth within this area right here. So I waited for price to come down. Once it came down right here, we had the sell signal. Price retraced up right here. So it was starting to retrace up. There was going to be an entry that was setting up right here, but it was going to be right in between the sessions and the opening price. And that's why I didn't take the trade there. So price came down a little further. The entry would have happened right here down the middle. That was the first, or actually not this one, the next candle was the first market flow V2. So that was the first entry right there. It came up, triggered it, came back down. I didn't take it because of the red flags. And then obviously the next one over here as well. This one over here, where price ended up swinging up, coming back down. So those are the 2 entries that came up between 6:30 and 7. And then there was more entries that came up over here, but it was after 7 o'clock. So my threshold, as you guys know, is 7 o'clock. Right here, price came down, came back up. The other entry was right there, but I don't trade after 7, so I didn't take that one. Another one right there. Another one right there. 3 back-to-backs, 4 back-to-backs right there. And I think there was a green buy signal right here. So this would have been the last entry. At this point, we would have waited for another sell signal, price swung to the above. And then now we would look for the same thing, but up here. Bounce off the pivot. Buy signal right here. Trend mirror is green. Pivots are bullish. Price over here comes back down. Bounces off the pivot. it would be another entry right here. Price comes down, bounces off that point. That goes another win there. Again, I don't trade after 7, so well, I don't trade after 7 right now because of the we're still technically in the summer market. So once we get into the fall market for full swing, when the market volatility is back to where it should be, I'll start taking more entries past 7. But right now, just not taking trades after 7, because typically what happens after 7 is the market consolidation. So again, right here, price pushes up, comes back down. There's a couple more entries right here. So again, right here, price comes down, bounce off the pivot, another quick win right there, quick win right there, another one right there. And then price starts to shift over here back to the other direction. So these aren't entries that I took. Obviously, I didn't take these entries. We analyzed them during the live session, but I didn't take them. I called them out and told you guys that they were possible entries, but I didn't take them because they don't fall within my trade parameters. So again, I only trade between 6:30 and 7 for the scalps. Just for now, as the market volatility starts to become more stable, I'll start to trade after 7 o'clock. Typically, our trading period is between 6:30 and 8 o'clock. But because the market starts to die down at 7 o'clock, you can see here the volatility dies down and goes sideways. Price pushes back up, volatility goes sideways right here. This is why I don't trade between 7 and 8, because it's just a sideways market. And in order for us to take these entries, we need to have a directional push. So we need price to be directional to the upside, or we need price to be directional to the downside. Otherwise, if price goes sideways, it's going to be difficult to take entries because it'll, for the most part, stop us out if it doesn't move directional or in the direction of our momentum. So you guys can see over here, I took no screenshots for today because obviously we didn't take any scalps. Last week was the last time we had these entries that came up during live, which we actually took. So we took 4 of them last week. This was on Friday. That one was taken during the live. That one was taken during live. That one was taken during live. And this one right here, with the addition of the breakout from that day. Yesterday, we took 2 trades. There were 2 losses. We took a loss for the breakout, unfortunately, and then we took a loss for one of the market flows, and that's where I stopped my trading for the day. So today we just had 1 win. Yesterday, 2 losses, and then obviously the trades from last week were also listed there. Let's see, question from N2. N2 is asking, do you predict bias based on the previous day news and its outcomes? For the most part, that's what I do for the breakout. So for the breakout, I take my bias based off the news, and then, well, I mean, I kind of explained it earlier. So I take my bias off the news, and then I use the technicals here to identify structure. This is my secondary confluence, and then my third confluence is the retail sentiment. So the third confluence here is looking at retail sentiment. Typically, what I'll do is I'll look over here to see where all the retail traders are trading. If there's more retail traders on the buy side, then I'll typically look for a sell. If there's more retail traders on the sell side, I'll typically look for the opposite, a buy. So you can see over here, retail sentiment was 66% long. This indicated that 66% of retail traders were currently buying. So that's why I was looking to do the opposite and sell. So everything kind of lined up with the analysis for today. Fundamentals were bearish. Technicals were indicating that price was overextended. And then obviously retail sentiment over here showed that a lot of retail traders were on the buy side. So that's why I took the sell for the day. And it worked out to an extent, but I did close out early because of the choppiness. See, another question from N2. N2's asking, do you not share a payout certificate on your Discord? Well, I share my bank statements. I think that's more realistic. Because you can fake the payout certificates, right? You know, you can do that. You can just change the number. I see a lot of people do that. So I don't show people the bank statements. I've shown my, I don't know. I don't show my payout statements, but I do show my bank statements. I mean, I didn't show them this month, but I show them previously. If you're on the lives, I show them on the live session. I don't like leaving them on here because people try to get the numbers from the accounts. So during the live, I'll show my bank statement sometimes. usually whenever I get a payout, because we do get a question about payouts from Apex, and a lot of people question Apex about whether they're paying out. I think the last time we got that question, I took a screenshot on live of my bank statement and I showed you guys my payout from not this one. I didn't get a payout for September, but the one from August. That was the last time I got a payout. So no, I don't really post the payout certificates. I think those are kind of pointless because a lot of people can just fake those. The bank statement, like when it's pulled up live, is more believable, of course, because it does have my company name on there and then the payouts from Apex. Okay, another question from N2. He says that I see you charge 300 per month. Never seen anyone charge at this rate. I've seen people charge more actually. It's not well, everyone can charge whatever they want, but I don't think that's besides the fact. So I charge whatever I feel like charging for mine, and the reason why I charge a higher amount compared to I guess what you're used to is because I'm not really looking to share my strategies with just anyone. So I mean, you'll see that we don't really advertise the group. Like this group isn't really as big as it used to be or as it should be, I guess. I've been trading live for about how long have I been trading live for? We've been trading live for about like 8 years now. You can see from my live sessions, I trade live every single day for like the past 6 to 8 years. So I have over almost 2,000 live sessions on here, 1,800 videos, and I'm like fully transparent with my trading. So the thing with the payouts, guys, is that I don't think you should trust anybody based off their payouts or whatever they can show you. I think you should trust someone based off like their actual live trading. So I'm all about transparency here. That's why I trade live every day. But again, back to your question, the reason why I charge a little more than what you're used to is because I don't want anybody to be using my strategies. You guys will see my strategies being applied pretty much every day. The other big thing is that I'm starting a hedge fund this year. So that's one of the main reasons because obviously I don't want hundreds of people out there using my strategies, right? The only people who use my strategies are the people who actually want to use them and actually use them for the right reasons. So yeah, I mean, I could go on with reasons and reasons of like why it's priced at that rate. The main thing is that I'm not really looking to share this with the public. I mean, I trade public every day because I do that for the transparency side of things, but I don't necessarily like I'm not here to sell you anything. Like I'm not going to tell you to, hey, go on the website and sign up to my strategies because I honestly I really don't want you to. I wouldn't want you to sign up to my strategies. The reason why I have it on there is because people still want to use them and we have members who've been around for years and I'm not just going to close the doors just because I'm starting the hedge fund. But for the most part, I trade live every day, but I'm not openly advertising this to the public. So I'm not sure how you found me into, but yeah, I don't really openly advertise this. I just do this so that we have the streams recorded because I do go on Zoom, but I want the streams to be recorded on the YouTube. So I mean, if anybody ever wants to check my trades or see if I'm actually doing what I'm doing, you can just pull up my trading for the day. Like for example, if you want to see how I made this profit for the day, it's like today's profits at plus 741 profit for the day. You can click on this live stream, rewatch my live stream for the day. And you can see how I made that profit. And then on top of that, on the Discord, it shows here as well. There's my profit for the day, 741. But if you want to see it actually analyzed, taken live and all that stuff, it's pretty much here on the live session. So all this stuff here is just for transparency stuff. It's like for transparency and it's for me to review because I don't want to have all these videos saved on my computer. If you can only imagine, right? If I have like 2,000 videos saved on my computer, that's going to take up a lot of space. So I'd rather just have it uploaded here to YouTube. And if I ever want to go back and review one of my trading days, I can just pull up the live session. Like say, for example, say I'm just curious what I did on the 16th, right? Or if I want to see what I was doing here on August 12th, instead of pulling it up, I can just pull up my YouTube video and I can just see what I did that day. So a lot of this stuff is really, it's for me and for the people who are within the group. It's not necessarily for the public. It's for me and who's in the group and whoever wants to review the videos. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to answer that question. But all right, guys, if there's any other questions here, feel free to hop into the chat and ask any other question that you guys have regarding trading, any strategies, anything you want me to review, any asset you want me to review if you want an overall analysis, scalp analysis, long-term analysis, etc. Yeah, because I don't really have much else to cover. I pretty much covered the stuff from today. We had the again the breakout I covered from earlier today, and then the uh the scalp entries. So I'll show you guys some more examples of the market flow V2s. I know it's still kind of new. It's very similar to the regular market flow. Let me see if there's any actual market flows that came up today. So for this right here, market open at 6:30, we had a sell signal. I don't see any actual market flow. Okay, so I take that back. There's one right here, but it was a red flag. So it's not one that I would have personally taken, but you can see over here, if you wanted to take an original market flow entry, it would be something like this. So price pushed up, came back down on this next candle. So this candle right here, the red candle, is where price pushed up, came back down. The way that the market flow entries work, and we don't have any set criteria for it, because again, I haven't been teaching in a while, but I'll have to upload a video of how like this is taken. But basically, we're looking for a sell signal. We're looking for the trend. You can see price here is below the trend. It's price is below the pivots. Trend meter is red. Pivots over here are angling down. We had a sell momentum over here. So the bias with regard to technicals is bearish. What I was looking for, if you're to take a market flow entry, is you look for price to come up. And this is hard to explain when you're replaying the candles because you can't see them playing live. But basically, the pattern that you're looking for here is you would look for price to come up, come down, push up right here. And then when it comes up to the pivot over here, you're basically looking for it to bounce off the pivot and come back down for correction. So for this red candle right here, you can't see it move right now currently, but if you were watching this live, you would have seen this red candle would have pushed up. And then as soon as it pushed up right here, you would have put your pending order right at the open of the candle. And then when it came down, you would fill it and then it would go straight down. So this is a original market flow. Lately, what we've been doing is market flow V2s, which are slightly different. Instead of waiting for price to come up and come back down, we're just looking for price to come in immediately up and fill the order. So instead of waiting for price to push up and push down, what we look for here for the V2s is we're looking for price here to come up to the pivot. And as soon as it comes up to the pivot, it's going to fill the pending order and it comes straight down. So that's a difference between the market flow and the market flow V2. If you guys have been looking at the stats, we just started doing the market flow V2s lately. So last month, it was pretty much all market flows. Month before that, all market flows. Month before that, all market flows. And then this month, we started going to the market flow V2s. They're the same thing. The only difference with the V2s is that they are, instead of waiting for the correction, you're just getting in right away. So same entry, same analysis. The only difference is entry point. So instead of price coming back down, waiting for the correction, you're just getting in right at the pivot. That's the main difference. So let's go to yesterday's market. I think I covered pretty much all of the examples from today, so there's not really much else to pull from today's live session or today's market. Let's go over here to 8 o'clock from yesterday. So what happened yesterday was I got caught in the manipulation. If you guys remembered earlier in the morning, I usually wait for the market to kind of stabilize a little bit. The only problem here is that I was a little impatient yesterday with the entry. So market opened right here at 6:30. And so we had the crazy candles here kind of push up immediately on open. And what happened here was that I got caught a little too early, I think. Let me see where that entry was. So the entry happened over here at 6:37 or somewhere like that. It got caught not on this candle, or actually it did. So it got caught on this candle right here. I think it was this one. It was the one with the sell signal. So what happened was I just got caught in this big spike. Price was slowing down right here. And I was like, okay, this is where our entry is going to come in. But what happened was on this next candle, it came spiking down right here, and we got trapped in this position. and then it ended up coming down, but you can see eventually price came right back up. So right here on the next situation, there was another entry that came up. I didn't take this because I was already done for the day. Whenever I take these entries for market flow V2s, if I ever take a loss, I'm usually pretty much just done for that day. Because I don't want to trade on tilt. As you guys know, trading on tilt is over trading, revenge trading, something like that. And since I took a loss over here, I already knew this was my mistake for getting a little too early. And I just ended up stop trading. But so looking at this right here, there's buy signal, price came back down. This would have been an entry for market flow. And then again, same thing right here. And then again, if price was to come back down, you would look for the same pattern. Price come down, push back up from here. So looking at this here, next entry. Again, same situation right here. So the entry would have happened on this candle right here. Price comes down, and then you're looking for price to come down and bounce off the pivot. So the reason why you're looking for a buy here, let me go over the analysis one more time. So we have a buy signal right here, which is indicating momentum, right? So we have the buy signal. This is indicating that price is likely to keep climbing up higher. So we have the first confluence right there with regard to the buy signal. Then the second confluence was the trend. You can see price here is above the pivots. The pivots are angling to the upside. This indicates that price is in a bullish trend. And then on top of that, looking down here, we have the trend meter, which is also green. So this indicates that price is bullish with regard to the trend meter. So we have bullish trend meter, bullish pivots, bullish momentum. And that's why we're looking for price to bounce off like that. So basically for all these entries, we're looking for this pattern to just repeat itself. So every time it comes down and bounces, this is where we're trying to get in from. We get in at the very low. We get in from the very low, and then we try to hit it like about 3 or 4 times. And then once we're done with that, it'll usually reverse at that point, and we're pretty much done taking entries from there. So again, right here, price comes down. The entry is going to happen right here. Typically, if you're on the live session, you'll see me have a line right here. You'll see my pending order just waiting right here. And what I'm doing is I'm just waiting for it to fill. So price comes down on the next candle, it fills it right there. Or it'd be like at the green line, so it'd be like right there. So it would have filled it, and then it would have hit TP. I would have been out of this trade. And then I would have waited for the next one, which probably would have been like right there. And then this one would have just been done for the day. But so at this point, I would be done taking trades because it hit 7 o'clock. Again, you guys got to remember my cutoff is 7 o'clock right there. So I would have just taken the first one right here. And then once the TP was hit on that one, I would have been done with the entries. So, just refresher. Once it hits 7 o'clock, and I'll show you right here real quick. Let's just, I'll keep playing the candles. So once it hits 7 o'clock, you'll see here that the market starts to go more sideways. And this is why I don't like trading after 7 o'clock. And this is just for the summer season. The summer season, you get this a lot. So let's go from like 7 to 8. Let me take off these indicators real quick. And I'm just giving you guys a logic behind like why I don't trade after 7. Because I know some people will be like, oh, well, I always trade after 7, which is fine. You can trade after 7, but from my understanding, this is usually where I lose most of my trades. So between 7 and 8, see how price just goes sideways right here? I don't like this. So I don't like when price goes sideways like that. Again, price will come down slightly, but then once it comes down slightly, it just ends up going sideways like this right here. So consolidation, little push, some more consolidation. I don't want to trade within a market like this. I want to trade when market is going directional, right? I want to trade when price is going up, retracing, going up higher. This right here, price is going down slightly, but it's not really going down as heavy as this. So this has a bigger spread versus this, which has more of a consolidation, breakout, consolidation. Let's see, question from NCU. So NCU is asking, interesting about V2 market flow. Does that indicator line those, does that indicator those lines not change? Price moves up or down. So the pivots here, and I'm assuming you're referring to the pivots, right? So the pivots, they once the candle is closed, they don't move anymore. They move on the current candle. So for example, like I was saying, the entry, where's the entry I was showing you guys? Okay, so like this one right here. So this one right here, you would have the entry. Let me turn off the high-low indicator. You would like I would have my entry waiting right here at the green line. So once the entry has filled, like once it's there, it doesn't move any longer. It only moves on the current candle. So right there, see how my entry would have been at this point? It doesn't move anymore at that point, but it does move on the next candle. These lines over here are pretty much plotted already. They don't move anymore. Once they're plotted, they're done. But the next candle, it does move. So you can see here it's pushing up a little higher because it does move with the current candle. So, and this is like another thing. Like I don't trade crossovers, but some people like to use the pivots as crossovers. So like for example, this right here, if it crossed over and if it was to cross back the other direction, they would take it for a cross. So like for example, if the candle closes and price has already crossed over, it's not going to flip back. So this works well if you're using a strategy that's like rule-based. All my strategies are rule-based. So for this here, like for example, if you wanted to trade crossovers, you could trade crossovers and you can just wait for the crossovers to actually confirm, right? So for example, here, once this over here has crossed over, not that I would take this entry, but I'm just using this as an example. Once the candle is closed, the crossover will not cross back the other direction. So it's crossover right there. It crosses over later, but once it's crossed over, it's pretty much stuck like that. Same with the momentum signal. So pretty much all my indicators are based off close. So like these buy and sell signals right here, like this would be considered a pivot scalp entry. This is another strategy that we still apply. I mean, some people still apply it. I personally don't apply it anymore, but other people do. So when these momentum signals close, they don't repaint. And I think that's what you're referring to, right? The repainting. Everything here, once it closes, it's closed. So you can kind of use you can create your own strategies based off indicators. Like for example, if you see some sort of pattern here, like the main strategy that I was just referring to just a while ago was the pivot scalp. This is a strategy that a lot of people use. I used to use this a lot in the past too, but I don't use it as much anymore because I don't like waiting for these to close. But some people will just wait for these to close. They'll look for the trend meter to be green. So basically, if this lines up green, green, and it's above the pivots, people will take entries based off that. And then a lot of times people would just base it off the entry candle. So they just do like a 1-to-1, 28-28. And they would take that for a 1-to-1. Some people will go for the bigger ones, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, etc. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how they would work. But yeah, back to your question, the pivots here, once they've closed, they don't move anymore. They only move on the next one, which would be an active candle. All right, so let's see. So I don't see any more questions here, guys. If there's any more questions, feel free to hop into the chat. Again, I'm here to help you guys out. So whatever you guys need help with, I'm here to help. The one thing that I was talking to you guys about during the live session today. So like throughout the day and throughout the night, and like I just start to have like random ideas. One of the things that I was talking about during the live session was the using these high lows as a confirmation for entry. So for example, here, you don't have to do this, but this is just something that I saw. For example, if you have a high right here, you have a low right here, and a lower high right here. So you guys can see the pattern here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but the pattern right here basically indicates this. It's the same pattern that we use for the market flow. You're just looking for market to flow to the downside. That's a pattern that shows up right here, right? We have a high here, a low here, and then a lower high right here. High, low, lower high. And then you have the sell signal over here below the pivots. This will typically indicate that price is going to keep moving in that direction. So if you want to take this entry here, and if this is something you guys want to test out, if you guys have the indicators, feel free to test it out. You guys can back test this for the rest of the day if you like. This is something that I've already used this in the past, but this is something that I just kind of revisited. You can basically ride this for a one-to-one. Typically, I put my stop loss above the pivots over here. So leave it around 20. And then if you want to go for a one-to-one, you can do 20-20. If you want to do a one-to-two, you can do a 20 to 40. If you want to do a 1-to-3, you can do 20 to 60. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to have your stop loss moved in profit, you can slide it in profit at, the quarter marks. And there goes an entry right there. So that is what I was talking about on the live session. It doesn't always work, of course. There's no strategy that's going to be 100%, but this is a good confluence to use if you guys are curious about like taking these bigger moves. I typically don't take the bigger moves because I don't want to be in the position for that long, but I know some of you guys here in the group like to take trades like that. So if you'd like to, feel free. Here's another example of like where I wouldn't trade. So there's a buy signal right here. Let me just go back to here. So same thing that I was just explaining to you, but there's no, you'd have to look for something to like line up. So like right here, this lower low is too low. There's no pattern below it indicating that this here is going to play through. Right. There is no confirmations. Like for example, this one, I just wouldn't have taken it. And you can see right here, price goes into consolidation anyways. Let's see, question from N2. N2 is asking, your indicator looks good. Those green red lines, especially, what are they based on? So the pivots over here, which one are you talking about? N2, are you talking about the pivots? So just refer to these. If you're talking about these lines right here, like these that look like a ribbon, just refer to those as the pivots. Or if you're talking about the momentum signals, I just call them momentum. So I know which one you're talking about. Or I'll just explain both. So the pivots over here are based off, well, obviously it's proprietary, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what they're based off, but they're based off a lot of different other indicators. So I'm not going to list all of them here because I don't want you to copy what I'm doing, of course. All this stuff is proprietary. They're based off, so one thing is a moving average. That's why they're lines. And a lot of people, the momentum, okay. So for the momentum, it's based off, how do I explain this? So when I first created the momentum indicator, what I had was I had a lot of indicators that were they're based off, let's see, they're based off like 6 indicators. So in order for me to get momentum here, I would need something to happen in the same direction of like 6 indicators. So it's based off, one of them is a MACD, one of them is a specific moving average. I'm not going to say which one, but it's a very special one. It's not a regular one. So it's not a simple moving average. It's not an EMA. There's a lot of very technical moving averages that a lot of people don't know about. So when I created this indicator, it was based off something like that. It was basically a checklist. So when I created this indicator, I had an algorithm produced, and the algorithm pretty much identified certain things. So it identified when everything kind of lined up in one line. So like a MACD was bearish. Another thing that a lot of people used or have used in the past was called the Ichimoku cloud. That's another one. A specific moving average. You probably have never heard of it. Like I did some pretty deep researching into figuring out these tools that like a lot of people weren't using. So if you ever look at my tools here, you'll see that nothing really lines up with stuff that people are currently using. The reason for that is because I did that on purpose. I looked for specific indicators out there that a lot of people didn't know about, and I put them together into like a super indicator basically, so that it would give me a signal whenever momentum went in that direction. So this is like a combination of like RSI, a specific momentum indicator, a specific moving average indicator, MACD, Ichimoku, and and a very specific stochastic. So you can only imagine there's a lot of factors that go into this momentum signal, and that's why it's so accurate. Because in order for us to get one of these signals right here, it there's a lot of things that have to line up. It's not just like one thing. There's like six or I don't know if there's six or seven, maybe eight different parameters that have to line up. So like basically for those eight different indicators, it needs to point for a sell. So they all have to line up at the same exact time. When they line up at the same exact time, that's where this momentum indicator comes out. So when you tie this momentum indicator with the trend, right? So like I identify momentum with my momentum indicator, and then I identify the trend with like these other tools. So I created this pivot indicator that was based off multiple. This is based off like a lot of different tools as well. So I identify the trend when price is going down. I identify the trend with my trend meter down here, and I can identify momentum with my momentum divergence down here. So you can see here, once all these here line up, sell signal, trend, divergence, etc., it usually lines up for a pretty good indicator that price is going to move in that direction. So yeah, I know it sounds kind of vague, but it's vague for a reason because I don't want other people figuring out what I'm doing here. So if you've ever watched me trade live, you'll see that I trade very different from a lot of other people. My main concept and logic behind trading is to trade different from everybody else. Because if you're trading the same strategy that everybody else is using, it's probably not going to work. And if it does work, it's probably going to work for a very short term because the market makers know what you're doing, the institutions know what you're doing, the hedge funds know what you're doing, so they're going to trade against you. So I try to stay under the radar and I trade a bit different from everyone else. And I only follow my indicators. I don't trade any other strategies that other people use. Like I don't use supply and demand. I do use support and resistance sometimes. You haven't seen this indicator right here. So I have an indicator right here that I think this is one of the coolest indicators that I put together, aside from the momentum. So this other indicator that I have here, it's called the SRV2, and this automatically plots support and resistance on the chart. So this actually goes in conjunction with like all of the tools that I have, they go in conjunction with each other. So this right here pretty much automatically plots support resistance on the chart. So you can see over here how price respects, well, you can't see it really well on this one higher time frame. Okay, so this is a little better. So you can see over here on the 5-minute, this indicator will automatically plot support and resistance on the chart. So this is in conjunction with my other indicators. So like a lot of people like to trade support and resistance, but the thing is a lot of people plot them in different places. So I created an indicator basically to plot it automatically. So you can see over here, our price pretty much respects these zones that automatically plot up. So everything I built, like every indicator that I have here, it was built for a specific reason. Um, my ideology with trading is that basically there's only so many things that you can measure. So you can measure direction of price using, say, for example, the pivots. You can measure the direction of price using the trend meter. You can identify divergence using the divergence indicator. You can identify structure using the SRV2 indicator right here, automatically plots it on the chart. Using momentum over here, another thing. So here's another thing that you might find interesting. So there's a sell signal right here. We have price breaking structure. We have pivots crossing to the bottom side, prices below the pivots. Another strategy that we use here is the zone to zone strategy. So price will move from this area. Well, I'm predicting that price is going to go from this area to the next zone down here. So I'm basically predicting once price broke the structure right here, I'm looking for it to push down to this structure. And that's what happens there. Full TP. And then if price breaks structure right here, I'm looking for it to do the same thing. Now to break structure. Down here. So every tool I've created and built, and again, this goes back to like why it's like my fees are my rates are like higher than others because I have proprietary tools here that I created myself. Um, I mean, there's just infinite ways of applying these strategies. Again, right there, price broke past it. And again, I'm trading not like everyone else, right? A lot of people like to trade bounces off the support resistance. I trade the break past structure. So instead of trading the bounces, which there's nothing wrong with trading the bounces. You can trade the bounces if you like. But for me, I trade the break past structure and further down here. So, I mean, I could go on and on. Like I can show you so many different strategies using my tools. It would just have to be specific to you because everyone trades differently. So if you like to trade break past structure, you might want to trade, the zone strategy. If you want to trade break past structure, you can also trade. My bad, guys. I thought something was falling over there. Another strategy you can apply would be a high-low scalp. This is another favorite that everybody applies. Price breaks and close past structure right there. Another sell entry. I probably base this one off ETR. ETR is currently at 34, so I do like maybe a 40-40. There's another entry right there. Sell momentum, bearish trend meter, price breaking close past this lower low right here. You can either draw a line there or you can draw a structure. I mean, it's really up to your preference. But I have like so many different strategies that can be applied using just the tools. So I like to trade based off direct momentum. But if you like to trade based off break and close off structure, you can break and close off structure here. And again, same situation if you wanted to take the next one. There's another one right here. Price breaks past it. So again, right there, price broke past the structure. And then you do the same thing again right there. Sell signal or a sell entry. ATR is 39, so we do 40-40 again. If you want to do one-to-one. Personally, I like doing one-to-ones. And there goes another entry right there. So again, it's just up to preference, what you like to apply. But my tools are pretty much universal. If you want to trade strictly off momentum, you can trade based off momentum. Your entry could have happened up here at the sell signal. If you want to trade break and close past structure, you can do that. If you want to trade reversal, you can trade the V1 variation. So here's another strategy. If you want to trade off reversal. So another strategy right here is you get a double body rejection. There's a lower low right here. There's a pending buy signal. So the pending buy signal here, you can probably anticipate that price is likely to push back up. So for example, here, I would have expected price to push back to the pivots over here for a retracement. If you want to counter trend trade, you can take this strategy. It's complete opposite of what we were just talking about. Instead of trading directional, you can counter trend trade. And then you can ride this up to the pivots right there. So yeah, my strategies, my tools are universal. You don't have to trade a certain way. You can trade any way that you like. But yeah, I mean, that's a quick demo of like the stuff that you can do with the indicators. Question from Clifford. Clifford is asking, just asked about the payouts. Have they ever asked for video evidence? So they've never asked me personally. Clifford, I think they don't ask because they're actually in my live sessions. So I've had confirmation from like sources that work within Apex that there's actual Apex, I guess, employees that are in my live session sometimes. But they're just kind of curious what I'm doing. Especially back then when I was doing the initial breakouts, the breakout V3s, they kind of followed my trade to see what I was doing, to see if they can like mimic it or if I was trading legitimately. So they haven't asked me, they haven't asked me in the past, or I mean, they haven't asked me because they don't really have to ask me because they can just pull up my live sessions. So, they know that I have all my live sessions here pretty much documented. So they never asked me. I'm not sure if it's because they already know that I'm legitimate with my trading, or if they just don't have a reason to ask me because everything's already on here. So for me personally, they've never asked me, Clifford. I've had one person that they've asked that I know personally, but they only asked him because he was doing something weird. So his trading style was weird. His profits weren't very consistent. So they asked him to record, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to record because he couldn't mimic what he was doing. So yeah, the 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 Apex, like they just never asked me for it. I've only known one person that they've asked for it, and he wasn't able to produce it because he wasn't able to reenact his trades because he was doing something that was he was getting lucky with his trades. He was doing something similar to like UCA, but he was more so kind of just getting lucky with his entries and then holding them for longer than he needed to. So there's only been one person that I've asked, but I haven't, well, that they've asked, but they've never asked me before. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, here, let me show you a screenshot real quick. Let me where was it at? Yeah, here's my last payout right here. So this is my payout from August. Clifford. Like this is more legitimate to show you my bank statement versus uh this is my business account in Kodi Kai Trades. There's my payout right there, 5,633. This is from August 7th. So yeah, if anyone shows you the certificates, it's better off for them to show you their actual bank account because the bank account right here, you can't really fake it. This is what it looks like when you get a payout from Apex. Um, yeah. So this is the last payout I got from last month. I didn't get a payout this month because I was at break even from the August month. So this one over here was the payout from right there. Clifford's asking me. I mean, I can look it up for you. I'm not really want to look up the list, but let me see if I can pull it up. You really want me to go through here, bro, and show you the list? I trade live every day and you see the profits on the thing. Where's the list at? The FAQs. All right. Well, when I have time, I'll go look over here and I'll find the list and I'll and I'll show you. It shows Kodi Kai trades on there, but I'm not gonna go and look for it. Let's see. I'm not gonna bother with it. I mean, I guess this is a fake bank statement, right? Or a bank payout right there. Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna explain it. Let's see. The next question over here was NT was asking, I see you explain more than 5, 6 strategies in the past 5 minutes. I assume you created them sometime in the past. If they're profitable, then why don't you trade them? So the main reason why I don't trade those specific strategies is because, like I said earlier, I only trade between 6:30 and 7. So those entries come up, but they don't come up as often. So let's go over here real quick to the 17th. This one over here is so the entries come up here sometimes, but they don't come up all the time. So let's go over here to the sessions. So it looks like it came up today, but I didn't take the entry from today. So this was the same entry that I just showed, the high-low scalp. The other strategy that I showed you, the one that was on the 5 minute, that's not going to come up because I trade between 6:30 and 7. And in order for you to take those 5-minute entries, I'll have to be on the chart like pretty much all New York session. So for me, I like to just be done with my trading between 6:30 and 7, if not 6:30 and 8. And for the other entries, they happen on the higher time frames. If you traded with me in the past, I used to trade like from 6:30 up until noon, but I just don't like trading that long anymore. So I like to trade within a small short-term period, which is between like I said, 6:30 and 7. So my trading window is super small right here. In order for me to take a trade between 6:30 and 7, I'm only able to focus on like one or two strategies. So that's why I stick to two main strategies, which is the market flow and then the breakout. The breakout happens every day at 6:30. That's why I take it, because I don't have to really think about it. I just take the entry, let the trade run, and then let it play through. And then for the other entry over here, these entries come up like once or twice during the live session time. So yeah, there's a whole list of different strategies that I have, which, I've been trading live for about 8 years now. So I come up with different variations to the same type of strategy. Like for the market flow, there's market flow V, the regular market flow, and then V2, pretty much same entry, just different entry point. And then same with the high-low scalp. The high-low scalp is very similar to the market for the momentum entries, but they're just based off breaking close past structure. So this obviously wouldn't be an entry because price tested it, this one over here. But I mean, you could only imagine if I'm looking at 3 or 4 strategies at once, I'm going to miss one of them, right? So for me, in order for me to make sure I don't miss the entries, I pretty much just look for 1 or 2 strategies, and then I focus on that specifically. So I focus on the 1 or 2 entries, and then that's pretty much it. So, short answer to your question is that's why I only apply the 2 strategies, because I'm not able to focus on like 5 or 6 strategies at once, because if I'm looking at so many different things, I'll pretty much miss the entry that I'm looking for. And then also, you don't want to overtrade. So that's one thing that I've noticed. Well, one thing that I learned in the past, just because there's a lot of entries on the chart doesn't mean you should take all of them. So I only look for high probability, the entries that have high probability of hitting. And for me, lately, it's been the market flow V2s. So if you look at the website, I mean, there's like 20 strategies on there. They all work perfectly fine. It's just figuring out one that works perfect for your trading style. For my trading style, I like the quick in and outs. So that's why I take these, I just bounce off. I put a pending order. For like a high-low scalp here, you basically have to wait for the candle to break and close past it. Sometimes it kind of fakes out, it'll close below it. At the last second, it'll push up, and then you might get in at a bad entry. So I use what works best for me. For me personally, I like the quick ins and outs. So I just like waiting for the entry to come to me, have my pending order there, have it filled, go straight to TP. But for these here, you have to wait for the candle to close, which isn't always the best case, because sometimes you'll have price come close to your setup, and then at the last second it pulls back, and then you don't end up having a setup there. And then you end up entering a trade that you shouldn't have entered into. So it just depends. Some strategies work better on the higher time frames, some don't. Like for example, the zone strategy that I was showing you earlier, the one where price broke and close past the structure, that doesn't work well in the 1 minute because it happens so quickly. It works well on the 5 minute. So, or no, the 5 minute for US 30 and YM. And if you're trading Forex, it works good on the higher time frame. So for example, here, this is a 4-hour time frame, same strategy that I showed you. A couple years ago, I used to call signals. So when I used to call signals, I would actually call these on the 4-hour time frame. So that strategy where I showed you where it goes from zone to zone, this strategy is best done on the higher time frames. So if you were part of the group like years ago, like around COVID time, I used to call Forex signals, and this was a strategy I used to apply. Again, I don't apply this anymore because I don't want to be on the screen all day. For me, I only trade for 30 minutes to an hour in the morning. Back then, I used to trade all day on a 4-hour time frame. So now I barely trade. I trade for a couple minutes, if not an hour at most, and then I'm pretty much done for the rest of the day. So it just fits my criteria and my schedule better. And that's how I prefer to trade. But I mean, these strategies do work on different time frames. So, all right, guys, we've been on this live session for over an hour. I think it's about time for me to wrap it up. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will I will get back to you guys tomorrow morning for the next live session. Sorry, I was just checking the questions over here. Daniel's asking if you're planning to close off new members once the hedge fund is open. Yes, that is correct. So if you guys want to have access to the strategies and indicators, I mean, your best option is to get access to them as soon as possible, because if not, once the hedge fund is up and running, I'm not going to be allowing new people to join. So the website is currently open right now. This is what the website looks like, but this is not going to be available once the hedge fund is open. I plan on opening the hedge fund by the end of this year. Obviously, you guys would understand that's the reason why I don't want to have it open to everybody, because I'm going to be making most of the money for the hedge fund by trading these strategies. And I don't want people in the public or some random people just applying my strategies and pretty much copying what I'm doing. So for me, I would, well, yeah, the answer is, yeah, the signups will end up closing once the hedge fund has started up. So, all right, guys, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see